Okay, so once I know the range, then I look at the 4 hour and the lowers. Yep. So you box in your range. Well, obviously, you know, you've been around a while, that it's not just the Celts. We have a few other things to look at too. But yeah, so the first thing I'm doing is identifying this range right here. So I look over to the weekly and monthly, there's nothing in the way. So the daily mid and the daily top is my range. I look at the primaries and they look pretty shitty right now. So I have to keep that in mind. So when I'm going to trade this over here, I have that daily, which here, I took it off. So you can set the trade up two ways. You don't have to be biased. You can look at it and say, okay, if this breaks, you have your next level down there, and that's your target. So right now you have a 4 hour backdoor, which is a bearish trade setup. That level breaks, then you have your next target down. If this level holds, you're going to wait to get back in the 4 hour. But if that level holds and you get back in the 4 hour, then your original range that you had planned out, which is the daily top, that trade's intact. And that's the trade you can take. So every time I'm setting something up and mapping out the range, I typically try not to get biased in one way or the other. I'm setting up both scenarios, the bearish scenario and the bullish scenario. And I guess I'll be biased leaning towards the direction of the primaries, but I'm always prepared for the opposite to happen. And I know you said something about the 15s bullish or bearish, but really the 15s, the 30s, the 5s, the only purpose of those is just to give you more entries in support of the direction that we're trading in. So I'm not looking at those to decide anything as far as big picture direction. They're just giving me extra entries.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
I see the chart that is on the left says 4 hours. That is 4 hours daily.
So when I asked you if you understood it, you didn't say you didn't understand it. So
I'm sorry. Yeah.
These Celts are multi-time frame. They're not regular tools. Any indicator that you add on your chart, so if I add a MACD or Bollinger Bands or anything, they change with the time frames. I change it to 5 minute, it turns into a 5 minute indicators. These are different. These are multi-time frames, so they are set on whatever I set them to be.
Correct. I have that. That is set on one of my charts.
Right. So
What about the
this
second?
this is a daily Celt right here. So that's what it would look like on a normal Celt, normal daily and daily setup, daily chart, daily Celts. But we can't really execute trades like this. We can't see that's $20, $15 range in one candle. I can't see what's happening throughout the day there. So instead of looking at the daily Celts on the daily time frame, we're going to look at it on a smaller time frame. It doesn't matter which one you choose to look at it on, it's your preference, but I'm going to look at it on a smaller time frame so that I can see the action that's happening inside there. I can get my entries off the daily mid with precision rather than looking at the daily mid like this with one candle. It's just easier view. That's the entire purpose of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you understand it for sure?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Keith, so I know the range. Clear it out. Thanks for all right. Cool. All right. So I think Fourier had a question, which was Voya Trades. Are you here? Nope. Oh, you are? JP, is that Voya Trades? Sweet. All right, let's go over can you guys see the flow trade charts? Let's do this. Can you see flow trade charts now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yes.
These guys are dead. Okay, you asked what's the best settings as far as in here. I only use normal. I don't use the dark pool really too much. Not saying that's not value, but I'm just looking, the dark pool algo or the dark pool line is showing you what they're doing behind the scenes, but rather they don't control what's happening day to day or the action as much. They're just sneakily planning things ahead of time and doing what they do. So I prefer just to use the algo line because I want to see the direction that things are going. There's also a both line, but I don't use that either. And you said smoothing. So the moving average is something that happens when you're first using this. Is the algo line can be pretty volatile and bounce around a lot, and it can shake you out of trades when you think that it's turning when it's not really turning. So the point of this is just to smooth out the action so you can see the algo line bouncing on the average, and the crossover can give you a decent idea that they're changing directions or there's a change happening. Not always, and I wouldn't trade off of that, but the smoothing average is just to simply help you not get shaken out by moves like this and to be able to withstand the trade. And you said, is any exciting features coming out in the near future? Yeah, I mean, there's lots. So options and futures are right around the corner, but Monday we're releasing the divergence scanner, which will be, well, here you guys can see a little sample of it. Will be a beta
in beta.
test.
Don't forget in beta.
Yeah, it will be a beta test. But let's see. Let's pick one here. Facebook. It will give you this red and green triggers for the actual divergence, letting you know, that's where it's going to trade back out to. So obviously, you don't want to just see this and play on it. And we're going to go over that before we release it, but this will be able to start giving you a nice heads up for the divergence trades, which we all know who've used it as free money. Then
very cool.
Also, so there's 15 bar and 30 bar, which is just longer distance. There's a button up here that will turn it off and turn it on. And am I missing anything on that, Trax?
No, it's still a work in progress, and that's why we're saying it's beta. So we're going to be doing a lot of work with it. You'll see a lot of things change in it. But we wanted to release it, and we are going to include a channel in the Discord where people can give some feedback when they see little problems or little things that we can fix to make it better.
So this is an example of how it works right here. You got two little divergence trades. So, this one's coming back. The red one is a bearish trade. The green one's bullish. So right here, trades back up. And I guess we can look for this one for tomorrow. Although that's end of day, and I don't really like to count on those too much. And then as far as scans, track scans will be in here. The sessions that you guys do on the weekends, which are super valuable. The Kelt scans are in here for our daily, weekly, monthly, and then the alpha scan, which I've shared with a lot of people. That's good for momentum, will be on there. And I think that's it. Oh, and then chat will be in here as well. If you want to use chat rather than being in Discord, just some kind of a nice little extra.
What is alpha scan?
It's a momentum scan. So who asked that?
SE Trader.
Oh, I posted a lot. You might have seen it. Just a scan that we use. I'll share it with you if you want. It's just a 5% increase over a candle, something like that. It's just a really good momentum scanner. Anything that comes on there usually will run for 2 to 3 days pretty consistently, or just have good strength for 2 to 3 days.
Okay. Yeah, I don't monitor Discord rigorously. It's like once in 2-3 hours or like 4 hours or something. But yeah, I appreciate it. Could you also share the Kelt setup that you have, the
Yeah, you
multi-time
don't have
frame.
it?
In TOS, no, not in
Okay.
TOS.
Yep, I will send you a flex thread. Send me a message so I don't forget.
Yeah, thank you.
As far as the Celts, I mean, during the day, you guys been asking a million questions about them. But right now you're not saying anything, which is pretty typical. So I'm not going to keep going over it. But if you guys don't have questions about the Celts right now, and then I get 900 questions during the trading day about them, I'm not going to answer
I
them.
got one if you have a second.
Yep.
Simple one. So I was watching some of your videos and stuff like that, and I was just curious. The shaded area is closed door or open door? That's it. Thank you.
You got it? You know what it is?
No, I'm asking.
Okay, so yeah, you'll see right here where there's a more transparent area or there's a darker cloud. And what that is the corresponding MACD, the corresponding time frame. So if we're looking at 4-hour Celts right here, and the 4-hour MACD is crossed down, then price cannot exit the top. So if it's crossed in the opposite direction, it can't leave the top. If it's crossed up, then price can't exit the bottom. So this is shaded to let you know if it's crossed in the right direction or not, if the door is open or if the door is closed. Right here, you see it, this door is open. So price almost left it, but it was able to leave it. The price was, or the door was open. So cross back down right here, the top closes, the bottom door's open. And when we get down here, it's able to bust through it.
Kind of what I was thinking when I was adjusting it for my own computer. So I really appreciate you elaborating on that, and
Yep.
that confirms what I thought. Thank you.
There's caveat to that though. So obviously, just like with everything, it's not perfect. It's not 100%. There's times when the MACD is close to crossing in either direction, or price has enough momentum that it will bust through it early, but that's because it's about to cross. It's pretty close to crossing. So keep that
Yeah,
in
it's still a
mind.
great feature, for real.
Yep.
Hey, Josh,
Yep.
this is NP. I have your charts. I have a 3 screen charts. On the middle chart, we have 4 hours, and when I change to the daily, those that whatever these clouds, the upper trend and the lower trend, it's not showing in my chart sometimes. So I mean, it's not sometimes, it's not showing at all. I have a 3. One is the 2 minutes, another 5 minutes, and another 15 minutes. On 15 minutes, I have those waves like
Yeah.
bullish
So on the middle chart, when you change the time frame to daily, it doesn't show up.
yeah, it doesn't show. It just
So
showing
you,
me
you
just
have to change the Celt time period. So you can't go for these multi time frames. You can't go past. You can't go past the time frame it's on. So these are 4-hour Celts. The max time frame I can change it to is 4-hour to keep seeing them. If I switch to the daily on these, then they disappear.
yeah. This is what happening. Yes.
So you got to go into these if you want to look at the daily Celts, and you got to switch this 4-hour
to
to
daily.
daily.
Okay.
That was basically my question too. I was planning on asking before, but yeah, that's a very good way of explaining. Thanks.
Hey, Josh, do you have the 1 hour straight line belts?
Yeah, I do. So there's another, for some of you that have, I don't like, this is for people who, I'm going to send those to you. I don't want to share those with everybody. They confuse people. So I'll
No worries. I've had them before, but
Yeah, I
somehow
know.
I just can't
send me a
find them.
message and I'll send them to you.
Will do. Thanks, man.
I like for people to be able to see the whole process of price moving in and out of it.
Understood. I have a silly question for you. For taking a swing trade, do you wait for the primaries all to be green, or like, I just get confused sometimes. When should I take the swing
So
based on the primaries?
that's a good thing to bring up, so we can cover that with people. Let me change charts.
Like, I jumped in Clorox prematurely, even though I'm up now,
Yeah, so
but I
did
was down for a little.
I did too. Okay, so let me cover the primaries and secondaries, and then I'll get to that. So those of you guys that are new, we run cycles off of the primary cycles and secondary cycles as far as our strength for trading. The primary cycles is the bigger cycles, which control price. It has the strength behind price. And for that, we use the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly MACDs in harmony all together. So those three can make up the primary cycles. The 2-minute, the 5-minute, and the 15-minute make up the secondary cycles, and that's the intraday cycles. So what we want is the time frame alignment. And how we like to explain it is like this. If you have 3 guys pushing a car in one direction, all 3 guys are the 4-hour, the daily, and the weekly, and they're all pushing from the back, then the car is going to push in the direction they're pushing nice and smooth. If one of the guys hops around the front and starts pushing it the other way, it's going to slow it down a little bit, but the 2 guys are still going to have the strength and be able to push past him. And then if the other guy hops on the back, then it's going to slow it down and start moving in the other direction. So we want all the cycles to be running in harmony, all in the same direction. So when you're looking at cycles, that leads into your question, Tito. When I'm looking at them for the strength, right? So if I have daily and weekly and they're still crossed up and the 4 hours down for a minute, that's a short-term cycle, right? So that 4 hours can cycle up and down within a couple days before it joins them in the same direction again. So if you wait for everything to be crossed up completely, then you're late on everything. So what I'm looking for is being able to anticipate when it starts to curl or it gets close enough where I think that it's going to happen rather than waiting for everything. But if you're too early, like we were on Clorox, then you have to deal with the cycles finishing off and maybe going down a little bit. So as far as the primaries, they're controlling the big picture. The secondaries, we're trying to use the secondaries to trade in the same direction as the primaries. So we're not fighting the big cycle and where price is actually moving. So if everything's bullish on the upper time frames, I'm going to wait and take my trades when everything's bullish on the lower time frames and they align and go in the same direction. If the primaries are bullish and you're trying to take a bearish trade on the lowers, then your trade's it's going to be small. It's not going to sustain, and it will retrace back in the direction of the primaries. Any questions on those?
Thanks for explaining that again.
I got a question.
Mhm.
So for the MACDs, do you need to switch to those time frames in order to see the primary and the secondaries?
Yeah. So there's 2 ways, and yeah, it's since you mean because of the multi-time frame charts.
Right.
Yeah. So I have this MACD. Can you see on the bottom down here?
Uh-huh.
So this has 3 of them built in, right? So it's going to be obviously displaying whatever time frame you're on. So if we're on 4-hour here, it's going to be displaying the 4-hour, but then it has 2 more time frames built in. So you can add the daily and the weekly to this. Delete this real quick so you can see it. You can add the daily and weekly to this. And when you see the green histogram like this, that means all 3 of them are aligned in the same direction. And you'll get a little label right here that says aligned, or vice versa. When it crosses down, you'll see red, and that means they're all aligned. So if you have limited chart space, that's really good. You can set it up the same way on a 2-minute chart and set the other 2 settings on it to 5-minute and 15. But as far as the big time frames, I don't spend a lot of time on this, over here looking at these time frames. This is just all prep work. So I trade a lot of the same stuff all the time. So I typically know where everything's at, the things that I'm looking at. But if I'm trading something new or you're just trying to chart something, you're only glancing at this stuff. You're finding your levels that you need to pay attention to. You're looking at your primaries to see where they're at, so you have a good feel for everything, and then you're spending your time intraday on the lower time frames.
Okay.
But if you want that MACD, then just send me a message and I'll send that over. Actually, I think that's in the indicators section. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a look.
What else? Do you guys have questions on algos? Everybody understand divergence? Everybody understand how the algos work?
I have a question on the algo. This is
Okay.
Mike Weisful. So when you do the 15-minute, it's already zoomed out and it will show the basic trend or the continuous trend. Is it right?
What do you mean? So
Like
if
for-
I'm looking at the 15-minute chart, it's already zoomed out.
Right, see the time frame? Yeah. So that's the basic. So right now I see the Facebook is going with the price and the algos. There's no divergence in it.
Nope. There's none.
And it's going up if I'm correct.
Yes.
So when the divergence on APPN, that's on 1 minute. If you change it to 15-minute, is that still a divergence?
Okay. Good questions. Okay. So, Jesus. One, for your 15-minute question, this is giving you the whole picture, right? So there's a story here. You can tell what they're doing, what they're controlling, where they're taking price. On the 15-minute, you want big divergent setups like this right here. You want big range and you want them to expand, because these 15-minute divergent setups like this one right here, these are smaller ones, but they can extend far. I mean, I've seen Tesla go over $100 in divergence on the 15 minutes. So you don't want to get stuck in one of those trades thinking it's going to trade out where it continues to stretch and stretch and stretch. So you have to make sure you're getting your entry for the 15-minute divergence on big time frame entries and let it develop. So as far as price going in the same direction and then there's 1 minute divergence, yes, this is going to trade out. Of course, it's completely different. There's a lot of small stuff happening inside of the 15-minute picture right here. The 15-minute picture, like give yourself like 2 weeks just to be safe for that trade to trade out. The 1 minute divergence is going to typically trade out the same day. And if it doesn't, it will probably trade out after hours or pre-market. Once in a while, it'll happen first thing in the morning. And I think Trax would say the same thing. I don't like to deal with a lot of divergence at the end of the day, although it plays out and it can tell you, but I usually write off the last, 15 minutes of the day as far as divergent setups.
For the Amazon chart, can you change the time to 15 minutes and can you see that the algo's line is moving up, the price is moving up. So how long would be the trade?
Well, there's no divergence, so there's no length on this, but there was divergence right here. This was a nice entry. That was freaking big. This is telling me the strength of the trend, though, right? We have no selling over the past 8 days. It's just been consistent buying. So when you're trading, you can take that into consideration, right? Especially if you're looking at this and you have 8 days of just net buying and net strength. There's not been any loading up, no selling setting up. If I go into intraday on the 1 minute chart and I see buying happening on top of that, then I know it's going to be super strong. So I'm using this to give me an idea of the whole picture and what's actually happening and the strength of it. This is another situation like looking at the upper Celts. I'm not spending a lot of time on this besides preparing, getting ready, taking a look at what they're doing, and then spending my day trading on the 1 minute, because this is going to dictate price all day. It's going to either be pushing price with it or it's going to be setting up divergence.
So basically the algo.
Josh, it's me. I'm back. I just had to step away for a couple of minutes, but if you need me
cool.
for anything.
Sweet. Go ahead.
So on the 15-minute Amazon, do we have to wait for the price to go up all the way to meet the line, or it's just my understanding of it?
The price and the line have no correlation on the chart together.
Got it. Yes, yes, that's good. It's
This
just the
could-
trend, showing the momentum.
This could be a lower study. It's just much easier to visualize the divergence when they're stacked on top of each other.
On the same line, the questions, we have those block trades, right? Does it define that based on the block trades is our support line?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
The other thing, yeah, I mean, and honestly, I'm guilty of not using the blocks as much as I should. They're major support and resistance. This is a major level. If you really wanted to build a strategy around using the block trades for executing your entries and stuff, you really could. They're definitely a level of support and resistance, especially right here. If we have support on this block trade with divergence up, I mean, this is a no-brainer entry right here.
Yeah, but a lot of tickers have so many lines, so many block trades.
Yep, some of them have a lot. The other thing I was going to say is something that's helpful as well is, you saw me drawing trend lines. You can treat these just like you would price, and you can draw channels and trend lines, and the same thing's going to happen. Just like right here, it broke, the trend breaks, it's going to change direction. There's also double tops and double bottoms with the algo that's going to confirm a top for you. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Trax, but that's also very helpful during the day.
Yeah, and Mike, my track sometimes says that even though algo turn or algo, when the price is going to higher high or lower high, he does not take the trade. So he says algo is going other way. So how?
Right.
Okay. So
Yep.
normally price goes, price does not make a higher high, and the algo is not in the sync with the price, then you mostly don't take that bullish trade or the bearish trade, right?
Right, because I'm not following price. I'm not getting led by price, which is the biggest mistake people make. They make their decisions off price and whatever price is doing. So if I, just like you said, if I see price climbing and the algos are not making a higher high, they're flattening out and not climbing up with price, then I know that's going to be a trap. It's going to snap them off and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are occasional times where that works a little bit against me. And so SPY today, when it hit its absolute low of the day and it turned back up, the flow index didn't, if you want to switch to the 1 minute, but if you find the lowest point in the price, there was a period where when it first started coming back up, that the it doesn't look so much that way right now, but the first few candles, it didn't look like it was the flow index was turning back up yet, around 10:30 there. Yeah, and so I initially didn't get into that trade because the flow index was still pointing down. Now it turned out to be, the absolute bottom, but
I see what you're saying, right?
Yeah. But the place where I did, or really should have taken the trade, was I had the perfect setup at noon. I bought early and I had to fight through that at noon. But I can tell you, buying at noon, you could have bought I think it was the 390s that you could buy for $1.06. And at the very, very top, they were over $2. By the time they hit the top of the 15-minute Keltner channels, and that's where it was at noon, was it bounced off the bottom of the 15-minute Keltner channels. By the time it got to the top, you were up about 60%.
So right here is a good example of what you're just talking about. So everyone sees price ripping up, busting up, and they're all chasing it, thinking it's running. But when we look to see what's happening right here, the algo stops, flattens out, makes another little attempt, and no, it's done. So we know that this is a top right here. We know that's not going any farther.
Okay.
There's some nice divergence on this today.
Wasn't there a bunch of dark pools at 390-ish on SPY today too?
Yep. They had a little trouble there, then boom, popped, got on top of it. So that's probably our level right now. I don't trade SPY much.
On like my other question, like sometime I quit, like I come out like very quickly, and then after that normally I see that like that run, and I see you guys while talking, and that you guys hold those position for a little bit longer and getting the full advantage of those movement. So I mean, I understand that comes with a lot of experience and a lot of trading, which I'm sure I'm lacking on a lot of that. I may not be at 2 to 3% over there, but I'm trying to see, like sometime it works, sometime it does not work. So normally you talk that like on based on the primaries are pushing and the secondaries pushing. So I mean, as we said on some of the things is like, okay, it's the algo make little low, price make little low, and again it gonna shoot up again. So at the time, do you still look into the any character channels and then decide that, oh no, it's a fake move or fake downturn or fake upturn or something to continue your trade?
Yeah, so for me, let me change. Can you see the TOS charts?
No, which in the like thing we, yeah, now yes.
Okay. So it's a combination of things for me. I'll let him answer himself. One is, yeah, I'm always trying to trade in the direction of the strength, first of all. But second, when I plan my trades out, so if you hear me stay in for a long time or whatever, I've traded the range in the Celts and from section to section and the timeframes so much that I know that it just works. I know that if price stops here, it's going there. And that's just the truth of the matter. So when I'm in something, it's a combination of me going in the right direction, as well as the trend bar. You know, I always talk about that for keeping me in the trade, and the algos. So if I lean too much on the algos when I'm in a trade, then it's going to be hard because they're flinchy, right? There's this movement right here. If you're focusing on that, you're going to get freaked out a little bit. So I'm focusing on the range of my trade that I initially started, my entry and my target. The main thing for me is this trend bar on the 5 minute. Let's get off this stock. Just like Trax said for his trade right here. So two things. One, it went from the bottom of the 4 hour to the mid, and it held the trend bar the whole time. So I'm not looking at those algos, which were super flinchy on that trade. I'm focusing on the trend bar and price breaking underneath the 5 minute for the trend to change. So the combination of the trend bar and getting to my target, knowing that I can go from point A to point B and that's going to make it. I don't recommend you leaning too much on the algos for your exits or for your main guidance when you're in a trade.
Okay. So yeah, sometime I come out if the algo makes some change, and then I come out, and after I see that, yeah, it's moved so much. Like
the other thing is, if you need to put on the moving average, I don't know if you use it, or draw yourself a trend line, because it's going to ride that trend line until it changes.
Okay.
It just comes with time too, and P. And
Yeah,
I mean, I think that you've been doing a pretty damn good job of getting better. So
yeah, that's why I say, like, I don't have that much experience. I'm just looking into that one and try to listen you guys and try to see that, like, okay, that is what I can see or not, sometime on the chart. So yeah.
If I can step in with a small piece of advice, when you guys are doing this stuff, I know a lot of people are listening, but when you're looking at potentially taking a trade, take a second, draw it out, and then post a picture and say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Does this look right? That's going to help you understand what you're doing. It'll confirm it for you as you're drawing it out. And then you've still got backing from other people that can come in, review what you did and say, yeah, I agree with that. Or here, make this little adjustment. That's really going to help you learn this stuff way faster.
Yeah, I mean, this is a learning environment and everybody started somewhere. So you don't need to be ashamed of where you're starting or feel embarrassed to say you don't know something, and nobody cares.
This
Yeah,
might
that's good. Yeah, we'll do that.
do you scan for the next day trades by the closing candle of today's day trade, or you have everything jotted down for the week and you just concentrate on those trades?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't scan for. I have one scanner that I've used for like the past 3 years. It just finds um, strength and momentum. But I keep the same watch list. I don't know if you can see my charts over here, but the same watch list of the same stocks all the time. And there's about 5 that rotate in and out for different stuff. But I'm constantly charting all of these, and I constantly know where they're all at, and through the Kelt cycles, and I just trade what I like best in the Kelt cycles and what has the range in the Kelt cycles, or if there's divergence on the 15-minute. And then I have like my 3 favorite stocks that I trade on top of that. But the way we chart everything and trade everything, we're not looking for scanning for these particular scans or scenarios that you probably are used to seeing, or a lot of people try to do. The only setups that we're scanning for are the Trax's divergent setups on the weekend, which is my favorite setup of all, is finding 15-minute divergence bullish and price is sitting on the bottom of the daily Kelts. That's like my favorite setup, which is free money all day.
Nice. Also, one more question close to that thing. Do you wait for the first 5 minutes or 15 minutes of the start of the day to get into entry, or you don't mind getting in early?
Well, if you don't have experience, you should not play the open, like flat out. You shouldn't. If you don't have a strong strategy, you're not used to playing the open, then there's just absolutely no point in playing the open. You'll just get crushed. And I'm sure everyone in here has gotten crushed at the open, but I have particular couple setups that I like to play at the open. One is, if there's a support level like that I'm looking at, like say, let's
Just talk about Amazon.
Okay. If there's, yeah, this is good. So right here, if I have, let's say this opened up and we had, boom, we spike down to the mid right here, but the algos are up. So right at the bell, there's divergence down, price goes down, algos go up. And my setup and me mapping this out ahead of time, I'm already bullish and I'd already been planning on trading that direction, and it dishes that out right at the open, then yeah, I'm taking that trade. That's pretty much the only way I trade the open. I never trade the open in the same direction the price opens. So price shoots up, I never chase up, or price shoots down, I never chase down. I'll only take a counter trade when it's that kind of setup. The other thing that we didn't cover, which we'll go over, is the 2 different trade setups that we take. The backdoor and
Manisha.
where is my chart? It's hiding. Nope. There it is. So there's the main 3 trades: basic Kelt rejections, which is obviously support on the bottom or resistance on the top to short it. Those are just the main ways to trade the inside of the Kelts. But when price leaves the Kelts, we trade a backdoor entry, which is, geez, not going to get one on here. No back doors on SPY. Well, I guess this is kind of ugly, but so when price leaves the Celts, it's not overbought or oversold and needs to fall back in. When it leaves them, it actually picks up strength. So it's becoming unchained. So every time it breaks a time frame Celt, it's getting stronger and stronger. So when you see price break all three of the upper time frames, then it's super strong. So when price exits the top of the Celt, we look for it to come back and test the top. And that's an entry for us. We know that's going to be continuation. When price falls out, that looks like one right there, and then makes its way back in. So like this is not a very good example of it, but when price is outside of it, it's going to come back in, and then it's going to come test the Celt again to continue up. That's a really poor example. Anybody got a good money shot? Okay, here we go. So right here, price exits, comes back in, tests the Celt, runs up. This happens on the 15s all day long, which is a trade I like to take during the days, leaving the 15s or the 5s, coming back in, testing it, taking off.
Do you buy the breakout of the Celts or do you buy the retest?
I buy the retest, which is the backdoor that we call, because it's going to retest it 90% of the time. It's not going to break out and then just keep going forever and not come back. You're going to get another chance at it, and you'll get a better entry if you wait.
Okay.
There is times when I do break it, when it's just a scenario where there's just a ton of momentum happening and there's good range and I know I can take the trade, then yeah. But even right here on the 15s, if you can see over here to the side, you know, you break it or you buy this momentum right here. 2 seconds later, you're down, you're confused, you don't even have a strategy. So I'm always just patient. It's going to pop up, come back and test. I'm going to get a better price and then it's going to run.
Okay.
When you say 15s and 5s, you're meaning time frame?
Celts. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I don't understand then. Okay.
Yes. So I know it's confusing. You'll hear us talk time frames. And when we say 15, 4-hour, daily, whatever, we're always referring to the Celts.
So for this no example, you said you did take a trade, right?
Yep.
So what else did you check? I know this is the intraday 2 minutes. So you checked the 15s or the 4 hours?
Hold on.
Yeah, if you just go over your trade, we would be very much.
So I posted this already. So easy setup. This is a super easy setup. You see the line I marked right here that says 30 and 15s. That's another thing that I do before I get into this. When I map out the day, I use a price line and I'll mark, you know, daily mid. So I have all of my levels mapped. So when I'm looking at one chart, I'm not getting surprised by I have everything there. So this is it right here. Algos were buying. So I started to watch it. It was outside the 15s and the 30. It came back inside the 15s and 30. Did the money shot. It tested the bottom of them, grabbed support. All the secondaries were bullish aligned. I was a little skittish because the primaries were all bearish, besides the 4 hour was starting to turn up. So that gave me a little more confidence. But all the secondaries were aligned. I grabbed support on the bottom of the 30s and 15s. I fibbed it out. I have my target right there. It ended up making it all the way to the 4-hour mid, but I sold it there. So if you wait for the secondaries to align, the algos to buy, and take your entry properly off of one of the Celts, whether it's a money shot, a backdoor, or whatever, your success for your trades will be 90%. If you wait for this system to align, you will rarely have a losing trade.
NP, we're getting a lot of feedback from your microphone.
It would be very nice if you start a service just for giving the trades that is,
Never gonna happen.
aligned.
We
It
will
won't
never
happen.
be alert service or give people trades. Like, we started this and it's educational. It's about learning and fending for yourself. And that's what every trader should aspire to do, is not be reliant on anybody else. You should be able to sit down at your computer with your own tools, your own money, and make as much money as you want to without somebody telling you what else to do.
On top of that, because of our contracts with the exchanges, we would lose all of our licenses if we
Oh.
ever did that, because none of us are registered financial advisors. And so it's actually illegal for us to do that.
And even so, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and this is for my understanding. Like in a backdoor is normally it comes back and touch the top of the cards and goes up again. And in money shots is always go from outside to inside in the cards, right?
Backdoor can be on the bottom too. Yes, it can go bearish, but yeah. So there should be some good charts on the backdoor money shot section.
Can you check FLGT? It might be it. Not sure.
But yeah,
Here's a good
the
picture
difference
from
between the
Trax.
two is that okay, well, you can post that. But a backdoor goes from the inside to the outside, whether it's across the top or across the bottom. And then a money shot goes from the outside to the inside of the Keltner channels.
Yeah, that's very, very basic. Yeah, true.
This is good. It has both. So backdoor, inside to outside, comes back test, go long right here, unless you were long off the mid. And then from outside to inside, comes back, test the top, take your entry down. And can happen both ways.
And this is mainly happening intraday in the 15 minutes.
Every single thing happens on all the Celts. It's the same patterns, the same setups, the same thing on all the time frames. The same exact movement is happening all through all the time frames, just at different speeds, right? The monthly is super slow. It takes a long time to play out, even though it's the same. There could be a money shot on the monthly that takes, 3 months to play out. In the meantime, it's went top to bottom of the dailies, 5, 6, 7 times in that amount of time. So the same patterns are happening. They're just at different speeds. Like the 1 minute chart right here. Well, this money shot's happening. What is this Trax daily? Is this 5 minute? But there could be a
2 minute candles.
Big money shot happening on the daily. In the meantime, there's tiny little top to bottoms happening on the 2 minutes. So when you're trading each thing, you're just going to have to evaluate the time and get used to the time frame that it happens. So I like the 4 minute or the 4 hour, because it has big enough range to trade out in the same day or the next day. It's good for overnight swings or intraday trading.
So on this particular example, Josh, like money shot, so you take an entry when it touches to the above, like the top calcs, right, for the bearish entry.
Like the rejection from it.
Yeah.
At the top Celt, do you mean like the cloud, the 2.0 or?
Yeah, the cloud. So in the cloud there is a 3 line, right? So first
Yeah.
is 1.0, middle one is 1.5, and the top one is 2.0, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
so if we're inside the Celt, I want to use the 1.5. I want rejections to happen right here. And I want to go long right here. I don't want to be, you can, but while you're learning this and getting it dialed in, the strength is right here because that's the original Celt. So technically, once we get past that first one, we kind of have already broken out. We've broken out that one single line, even though we know it's not totally broken out yet. So I want all my entries to happen like right here. On the outside, same thing. I want them to happen on the outside, the 2.0. I don't want to come way into the cloud, take my entry in here because it's under this now. So that's actually becomes resistance. So wait for it to be clear of the cloud. Like this. I want everything crispy off of that 1.5, just like that. In here, you get all this commotion and you don't know, you try to take this rejection right here and you're in the cloud. It's just all bad in there. Missing a lot of questions up here, I think. How were the Celts during COVID? The Celts are always the same. Like it's the other thing about the Celts is you're gonna, once you start using them, you'll start to realize that they're gonna drop bullish news on the bottom of the Celts. They drop bearish news on the top of the Celts, and it's always timed that way. So if you're taking the right entries, you'll always be on the right side of news.
Yeah, and like sometime I think I heard that like weekly crossing daily or daily crossing weekly. So those are for the bullish time frame. Normally it happen like if the daily is crossing to weekly to upside, that means does it gonna go continue, or is it still we have to see the all the way whatever we were talking about all those things?
Do you know what he's talking about, Trax? Are you talking about if I'm saying like the weekly's crossing up?
Yes, yeah.
So I'm referring to MACD then. So when we're talking about cross ups, we're talking about the primaries and the secondaries, which we're looking at the daily crossing up or the weekly crossing up, the 4-hour crossing up.
Yeah. So just when the MACD line crosses the signal line, we refer to that as a cross up or cross down if it's going down. Okay, thank you.
For the money shot or the back door, do you wait for the confirmation of the candle closed outside of it for back door?
What would you consider a candle closed?
Suppose if
I'm evaluating support and resistance by watching just exactly what I showed you, watching price run into it like it's a wall. Let's look at
the reality to answering that question is that everybody has different risk tolerances. So for some people, they might say just once you've hit that line and you come back into the Celts, they might say, okay, that's good enough for my entry point. Other people might want more confirmation from other indicators. So it really depends on your trading style.
Okay, I see.
As far as support though, to me, I want to see price supporting outside the level that I'm looking at, not just a wick to go in there. I want to see it tested a couple times and establishing above where I want. Like right here, this is exactly what I'd be looking for. Tap, couple taps, MACD comes back around when we've already had it. Okay, algos are up. Now I can go. Same with up here. This wick goes up. I don't really like that. I want to see a little bit of testing happening. Personally.
Nice.
Looking at questions. Keith, my favorite setup is 15-minute divergence with bullish divergence with price at the bottom of the Celts on the daily. So sitting on the bottom of the daily with divergence 15-minute all day long. What else? Anything else you guys want to cover? No? You guys are ready to take on the world?
And then I think I have asked this question before also, and I'm gonna ask it again. When you do your fib, can you just show one more time?
Yep.
Yeah, excellent question. That's a good one.
Okay, so you want to know time frame? You want to know how I draw it?
Yeah, I think how we draw it and on what time frame normally
So
you
my
take like a
process
normal.
is this. I run a big picture, so daily, 4 hour, whatever I can get a good view of the trends on the big picture. I draw one big picture fib. So this one I would take here to here, because this is the last, to me, this is the last big trend we ran on. This ran up right here. We've been fading out since then. So the range inside of this high and this low has not had a 127 up or down. So that's my big picture. So as far as, let me show this real quick. There's all these fibs, you know, that everybody uses like this. I don't use all these. I only use the 50% and the 618 and the two targets, 127 and 618, because of the Celts and everything else we use, because this is your trigger, this zone. As soon as, so right now this would be, you know, it's bearish. There's a bearish fib set up. Let me add this one. So if this rejects this zone right here and we don't break this, then we're going to head down to the downside fib target. If we break this level, then we head to this target. So in my mind, it's just an on-off switch. So once this is over top of this, boom, the light switch for 482 turns on, and that's where we're going. Obviously, it's the fibs drawn off the bigger picture, so this can take a year to play out sometimes. But I just like to know the big picture, as well as I need to know where the big picture 50% is, because I don't want to run into that during the day, or the 618. I don't want to run into that during the day. I don't worry about the other lines. They're just noise to me. So I have one fib. Usually it's always on for the big picture. And then I'll drop down to a medium time frame to just see if there's anything swing going on. And I could draw, oops. I could draw this big one, but that's a little too big. I would probably just draw this right here, this current one, which is also just going to be the intraday trend. So I have my big picture one. It's not really interfering, but this is the big move for the day. I'll run that one for the same scenario. So as long as this holds up right here, then that's the target, 301. If this breaks, then we would have the 127 target to the downside. The first thing I do, though, when the day opens, there's an initial move that happens. And we actually have an indicator for this. It's called 30-minute fib. So it'll take the high and the low from the first 30 minutes and give you targets. That's in the indicator section too. But this first move that happens, I always fib it out. I always draw it out, because that target gets hit every day.
It's a before, like before open the market take you.
No, not before. The bell
Okay.
rings and you're going to have an initial trend that happens. After that trend is done, then I'm going to fib it out. And then this gives me my zone, like always. It breaks this zone and it turns on the light switch for my two targets. 293 is the one I guarantee myself. 296 will hit a lot of the times too. So I measure the first trend. As soon as this triggers, I have my targets and boom, right on track. So that's what I did today with no, and then sold at the first target here. So let's look at a couple other stocks and we'll do it. Give me a stock, somebody.
Google.
Gross. So Google, same thing would have happened. We would have dumped. Damn it. We would have dumped. I would have fibbed that first move out. And this would have triggered. I would have been held support there. I'd been looking to this as my target. Now we fell back below it. Downside target is this one.
Are your after hours the same color as your regular? Because I'm looking at the time frame at the bottom and it looks like.
Yeah, I just took the cloud off. I just don't like it.
Okay.
The gray cloud.
So you're drawing your line from midnight, not from market open?
No, this is market open right here. Isn't it?
That's that. No, that's it. That's 12
Oh,
a.m.
okay. Yeah. So let me put that on so it's easier to see. I can do it. Actually, can you see the charts below this one?
I can only see the one chart.
Only one chart.
Okay. There we go.
There we are.
Okay. The other thing is, that's a good point. There's a million ways to draw fibs. There's not a wrong way and where you have to do it perfect. There's so many fib targets. I mean, you can draw little tiny fibs that, I measure this and get myself a 127 target down here. There's so many ways to do it. So it's best to just pick. I think Tracks, I don't know if you still do it. Heat Tracks used to do it, the high and low of after hours.
Pre-market, high and low, yeah.
Yeah, for a target. So boom, comes back around right here. It doesn't hit it till today's, but so for me, I do a big picture one. I draw one at the market open whenever there's a trend. And I also keep an eye on the swing or whatever, just a medium-sized picture. So I know there's a bigger trade happening.
Mike, did you say that he did his fibs of the high-low pre-market?
Combination of pre-market and the previous days after hours.
Oh, interesting.
There's a million ways to do it. There's the first 30-minute orbs, which is the first 30 minutes of the day. You take the high and low every day. And those are valid targets that get hit all the time too. But I like a big swing one too, just to know what's going on as far as big picture. So we dump here. That's a bigger swing. The bigger your time frame you draw it on, the longer it's going to take to play out. Have any more questions on that, NP?
No, thank you. I think this is clear a lot of things in my mind also.
Okay, good. Here's a good swing one. This whole trend down right here. So this big trend that comes up for a swing, it breaks and starts falling down. So then I can recognize this run right here and I can measure this run, and then it pulls back. It holds my trigger level right here. There's your entry. And then it runs up to the target. What else? Anything else? You guys good for the night?
Yeah, I'm good. I got like a lot of information I need to digest also. So some of those.
Cool.
Josh, since you've got charts up, can you show me your 4 hours for DBX Dropbox?
Yeah, I haven't looked at that forever.
It was on my short list for this week, but earnings was after hours tonight.
Yeah, I heard it surged pretty low.
How'd they do?
Not good by the looks of the chart.
I heard that they said
But where are your 4 hour calcs is what I was looking for.
Oops, I gotta stop sharing this first. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Looks like we stopped at the 4-hour bottom for now.
yeah, that was the target. Unfortunately, like I said, because there was the ER, it wasn't really something I was going to play.
Where's that list?
In the trend divergence swings channel.
Okay. The other thing I was going to say is during the day, it's good to ask questions to all Flow Trade Pro people. They're always ready to help. Any of the admin, especially middle of the day when things slow down and we can go over charts when they're fresh in your mind and things are happening live. It's easier for you to retain them than, when we do a class and just unload a bunch of information at you. So during the day when things slow down, don't be afraid to go over things.
Yeah, and if you can ask questions, we'd prefer the questions come in the trade channel or on voice so that other people see them.
Yep.
Because chances are if you had the question, somebody else probably did as well, and they were just too shy to ask.
There's also, I don't know where the videos are, but there's recorded videos of a bunch of classes going over a bunch of different things with calcs and fibs and everything else that if you guys haven't watched them, that you need to watch.
Yeah, it's in the video section. Yes. Yeah.
Where at?
On a video, there is a video channel.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Video as I see it. Yeah. There's a ton of videos in there that you should watch.
So tracks. This is like DBX. So we had on our bearish swing. So it has been played out, right, or not?
Yeah, well, it may continue. I'm not sure. The problem was when I put my list together, and this is what I keep talking about on Saturdays. I always tell everybody to make sure you completely do your due diligence. And I, like a complete rookie, I trusted what TradingView said about the earnings date, which was wrong. And I should have looked at it at a more reliable source. Because I don't want to take trades going through an earnings report.
Yeah, I mean, this thing looks like shit. It's through the daily mid. It's coming off the weekly top. We have 4-hour cross down. Oops, that's 2 minute. The daily is about to cross down. The weekly's still up. Yeah, this looks like it's definitely headed to the daily bottom. Well, I guess we have one thing in the way. The daily 50. So that's how I'm mapping it out. Finding out if there's range or what's in the way. And if this breaks the 4-hour bottom that it's sitting on now and this daily 50, then there's your gap. 23 to 22, so just a buck. But that's how I'm planning for every trade. Cool. Last call for questions. I'll post this video in the video section with everything else.
I have two questions. They're not really questions to have you map things out. It's just more education.
Cool.
So first, just so I know who my audience is, are we mostly options, or are you guys buying underlines, or is it kind of a mix of both with this group?
I think I'd say we're mostly options.
Cool.
Yeah, we definitely do have some straight share buyers and sellers and stuff, but mostly options.
Cool. And then the second one that you had said, if I see something to post to chat. So like, I'm not using your indicators yet. I have a lot of my own that I've either tweaked or I script, or I've borrowed and stuff. So, I mean, is that cool with you guys if I post them on screens? I know that you guys are definitely trying to push your stuff, and I
no, we're not pushing our stuff. It's if you have a strategy and it works for you, then it's use it.
Sure.
Lots of people don't have strategies, so it's a good strategy for people to adopt that are lost and they don't have a strategy to pair. So the algos will guide you and everything, but you need a strategy to pair with the algos.
For sure. Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to test y'all's out and give it a go. I mean, Keltner, usually it's TTM squeeze with Keltner and Bollinger, right? But just Keltner's by themselves, I never really played with them much. So I'm eager to get into it. Definitely see how you guys have tweaked it. And then the multi-time frame MACD, I'm interested in as well. I mean, that's nothing that I've played with before. So yeah, no, it's all exciting.
Oh, man. Yeah, we welcome all strategies, dude. So you can post whatever you want.
Well, thanks.
All right. Night, guys. Talk to you in the morning.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Track.
Thank you.